Welcome to part two of my two-part presentation on modern cosmology and relativity in the third chapter of the book of Abraham. In part one, I identified the great star Kolob as mentioned in verses 2 and 3 of that chapter, and I explained in what way Kolob is near to the throne of God. If you haven't seen that video, I would encourage you to do so. In this presentation, I'll be covering verses 4 through 12, which continue the theme of relativity, but where verses 2 and 3 are more concerned with the warping of space and black holes, verses 4 through 12 are more concerned with the warping of time due to large masses, which is called time dilation in relativity. Neither Joseph nor Abraham could have known anything about these modern scientific discoveries in their day, except by revelation, which indicates to me that the book of Abraham is actually genuine. So let's begin. Okay, so that's what modern science says about Kolob in verses 2 and 3 of Abraham 3. Let's talk about time dilation now. Verses 2 and 3 were about the dilation, warping of space due to large masses. Verses 4 through 10 are about the warping of time due to large masses. And then 11 and 12 just offer some explanatory material. So, time dilation, the warping of time due to gravity. If you've seen the movie Interstellar, you've already had an introduction to time dilation. Nobel laureate physicist Kip Thorne was the science advisor and co-producer of Interstellar. The story is fictional, of course, but it's based on scientific fact. And it offers a wonderful model. It offers a great model for understanding time dilation in Abraham 3, or for understanding time dilation in general, for that matter. So, let's talk about it. In the story, a team of astronauts travels via a wormhole to a planet near a 1 billion solar mass supermassive black hole named Gargantua. Time is passing normally to their perception. And back home, time is passing normally for their families and friends. But relative to each other, there is a huge difference in elapsed time. Gravity slows time. In other words, time passes more slowly in a greater gravitational field than it does in a lesser gravitational field. Although you would not notice any difference, time would appear to pass normally regardless of the gravitational field that you're in. In Interstellar, 1 hour on a planet near Gargantua corresponds to 7 years on Earth. Earth's time is a longer time as to its reckoning than time on a planet near Gargantua. We can calculate a time dilation factor from this. 7 years divided by 1 hour equals 61,362. An NFL game lasts 60 minutes, neglecting halftime and timeouts and so on, of course. 60 minutes is 3,600 seconds. If we could watch, let's say, the Super Bowl being played in the Superdome in New Orleans on planet Earth from a location on a planet near Gargantua, it would be over in about 6/100ths of a second. 3,600 seconds divided by this factor of 61,362, based on the fact that there are 8,766 hours in a year. So the reckoning of the Earth's time is not so many as to its number of days and of months and of years. Notice that these two statements, Earth's time is a longer time as to its reckoning, and the reckoning of the Earth's time is not so many as to its number of days and of months and of years, appear to contradict each other if we don't understand what they mean. In terms of mass, Gargantua is greater than the Earth, and the Earth is greater than the Moon. That is, Gargantua's gravity is much greater than the Earth's gravity, and the Earth's gravity is a little bit greater than the Moon's gravity. So Gargantua time is to Earth time as earth time is to moon time. We're going to use this fact, this analogy, to help us understand some of the verses in Abraham 3. Abraham 3, verse 4, "And the Lord said unto me by the Urim and Thummim, that Kolob was after the manner of the Lord, according to its times and seasons, in the revolutions thereof. That one revolution was a day unto the Lord after his manner of reckoning, it being 1,000 years, according to the time appointed unto that whereon thou standest. This is the reckoning of the Lord's time, according to the reckoning of Kolob." In our interstellar model, 1 hour on a planet near Gargantua equals 7 years of Earth time. Similarly, 1 day of Kolob, the Kolob time, equals 1,000 years of Earth time. "And the Lord said unto me, the planet which is the lesser light, lesser than that which is the rule of day, even the night, is above or greater than that upon which thou standest in point of reckoning, for it moveth in order more slow. This is in order because it standeth above the earth upon which thou standest. Therefore the reckoning of its time is not so many as to its number of days and of months and of years. The moon stands above the earth means it orbits the earth." We calculated that Super Bowl lasted 6/100ths of a second, watching from a planet near Gargantua. Since Gargantua's time is to Earth time, as to Earth time is to moon time, the reckoning of the moon's time is also not so many as to its number of days and of months and of years, relative to the earth. Verse 6, "And the Lord said unto me, Now, Abraham, these two facts exist. Behold, thine eyes see it. It is given unto thee to know the times of reckoning, and the set time, yea, the set time of the earth upon which thou standest, and the set time of the greater light which is set to rule the day, and the set time of the lesser light which is set to rule the night." In physics, relativity in particular, set time is called proper time, and the definition of proper time is time as measured by a clock moving with the observer. So two observers in different gravitational fields or in relative motion will measure different intervals of proper time between events. Notice that by the equivalence principle of relativity, when you're in a gravitational field, even though you're standing still, you are accelerating. So this definition includes being in a gravitational field, even if you're motionless. Verse 7, "Now the set time of the lesser light is a longer time as to its reckoning than the reckoning of the time of the earth upon which thou standest." Remember, 1 hour near Gargantua corresponded to 7 years on earth. Earth's time was a longer time as to its reckoning. Since Gargantua time is to earth time, as earth time is to moon time, set time of the moon is also a longer time as to its reckoning than the reckoning of the earth. Notice that verse 7 appears to contradict verse 5, but this is the same faux contradiction that we saw in our model. So do you see how these verses in Abraham are tracking with our interstellar model? It's a perfect analogy. I want to point out here, though, that the time dilation on the moon relative to the earth is much less than the time dilation on the earth relative to Gargantua. This is because the earth's gravity is only about 6 times as great as the moon's gravity, while Gargantua's, or Kolob's, gravity is truly colossal compared to the earth's gravity. So while we calculated that if we could watch the Super Bowl from a planet near Gargantua, it would be over in 6/100ths of a second. If we watched it being played on the moon from a location on planet Earth, we'd see it last less than 60 minutes, but only slightly less. In fact, the difference would be in the microseconds, but the principle is the same. As an example, a practical example of this effect, before I retired from engineering, one of the projects I worked on was the latest generation GPS system, which depends on precise time synchronization between clocks aboard the satellites and the clock in your ground-based receiver. The satellite clocks are designed to run just a little more slowly than they normally would, to compensate for the time dilation effect of the reduced gravity at altitude. Verse 8, "And where these two facts exist, there shall be another fact above them. That is, there shall be another planet whose reckoning of time shall be longer still." What two facts? The fact of one planet orbiting another with their relative reckoning of time. And another fact above them means a second orbiting planet in a higher orbit than the first orbiting planet. The second orbiting planet has a longer reckoning of time than the first, everything else being equal, because it feels less gravity from the orbited planet since it's farther away. Verses 9 and 10. "And thus there shall be the reckoning of the time of one planet above another, until thou come nigh into Kolob, which Kolob is after the reckoning of the Lord's time, which Kolob is set nigh unto the throne of God,
to govern all those planets which belong to the same order as that upon which thou standest. And it is given unto thee to know the set time of all the stars that are set to give light until thou come near unto the throne of God. The significance of these two verses is very easy to miss. Let's suppose we're building a house, and let's suppose the construction plans say, make board B longer than board A. Well, that's obviously not enough information. The board lengths have to be related to a standard that's known with precision, say feet and inches. Likewise, knowing that the set time of planet B is longer than the set time of planet A does not tell Abraham their actual set times. But these verses say it is given to Abraham to know the set times of all the planets and stars. So, as with board lengths, the set times must be related to a standard, and that standard is 1 revolution of Kolob, a day unto the Lord. We know the set time of the earth relative to Kolob based on verse 4, which tells us that 1 Kolob day, 1 rotation of Kolob, equals 1,000 years according to the time appointed unto the earth. So the set time of the earth is 1,000 years, or 365,000 days. 365 days per year times 1,000 years. To know the set times of every star and planet in the Milky Way galaxy, their set times would all have to be similarly related to Kolob. The phrase, until thou come near unto the throne of God, or unto Kolob, does that. It includes Kolob time in this system of set times. It relates the set times of the stars and planets to Kolob and sets Kolob as the standard. Verses 11 and 12. Thus I, Abraham, talked with the Lord face to face, as one man talketh with another, and he told me of the works which his hands had made. And he said unto me, my son, and his hand was stretched out. Behold, I will show you all these. And he put his hand upon mine eyes, and I saw those things which his hands had made, which were many. And they multiplied before mine eyes, and I could not see the end thereof. I've been asked on more than one occasion when I've given this presentation in the past, whether the fact that each galaxy has its own centrally located, governing, supermassive black hole that's near to the throne of God, whether that means that each galaxy was created by a different creator. And the answer to that, I think these two verses were given in anticipation of that question, and the answer is no. Abraham obviously saw very many galaxies, each with its own quote-unquote Kolob, and they all are near to the throne of God in terms of the occupants of that galaxy. They all lead to the same ultimate reality and the throne of the God of the universe. I've further been asked, well, how can that be when the universe is so vast and there are so very many millions even of light years between galaxies? How can they all be near to the throne of God? And the answer to that is time and space as we know them are features of our physical universe. And when we're out of the universe into some alternate reality or alternate universe, all bets regarding time and space are off. Having said that, a popular idea in physics nowadays is that of a multitude of universes, a multiverse. But that's a discussion for another occasion. In summary, Abraham 3, verses 2 through 12, is about general relativity. Verses 2 and 3 reflect the warping of space due to gravity. Verses 4 through 8 are more concerned with the warping of time due to gravity. And then 9 and 10 relate set times to Kolob, and set Kolob is the standard by which set times are measured. And then verses 11 and 12 add some clarifying detail. Well, you can't, first of all, you can't completely separate space and time. That's why it's called space-time ever since Einstein. Space and time are inextricably related by the mathematics. Nevertheless, this classification here works well for our purposes here. But the fact that these 11 contiguous verses reflect
modern science that was not discovered until 73 years after the book of Abraham was first published, and they all hang together and are related. One cohesive unit. All of these facts, to me, indicate that there is only one possible explanation for the source of these verses, and that is revelation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found the information valuable. You know, critics claim the Book of Abraham is a fraud. In fact, there are many videos out there claiming to disprove the Book of Abraham. But science, the science that's contained in the Book of Abraham, says otherwise, and when we understand the science, we can counter the false claims. So please leave a like and share this around with your LDS friends and families especially, and let's get the truth out there. And for more information, you can go to my website. It's lightofchrist.com. That's light-of-christ.com, where you can download the paper from which I created the slide presentation. I also have a blog on a website, which I'm calling Science and the Light of Christ, in which I present modern science, as I did here, in various scriptures. For instance, the biblical creation story, Lehi's talk on opposition in all things in the Book of Mormon, and so on. You won't find this information anywhere else except in my book, Faith and Physics, subtitled How the Light of Christ Bridges the Gap, which you can read about on my website. And if you're interested, you'll find a link to its Amazon page. It's only $2.99 for the ebook on Amazon. So, thanks for watching.